Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Just so you know, I am answering this on a Saturday, so if you ask your question on a Sunday, apologies, there's absolutely no chance it'll be in this video. I have an anniversary dinner, going to be having it on July 4th, not when my anniversary actually is, but just going to be doing it on that day because why not, right? So thus I won't be able to record it on Sunday, so I'm doing it on Saturday. As for anything else going on with me before the Q&A, I had 2 or 3 videos that are being worked on last week that I didn't get to finish. One of them being my least favorite Final Fantasy game. Since I did my top 3, I figured I'd do my bottom 3 as well. Unfortunately, one of my bottom 3, I have no recorded footage of. I can't like look back to like an old VOD or a highlight or a clip. I don't have any for one of the games. 2 of the games I do, but one of them I don't. So I'm like gradually playing through it with like one of the speed things turned on, so that way I can get through it pretty quick and at least get to a place where I feel it's okay footage at the very least. But that video is taking a while for that. And then also, I'm doing a Heaven's Word restart. I'm finishing the MSQ probably Sunday or Monday, and then I'll have a video for that. Plus we have the weekly Q&A. And then there was another video that I haven't told you guys about yet, but it's something that I've been meaning to do for a while, like 18 months a while. It's nothing major, but it'll be a fun little thing to do for the channel for a little bit, especially while we're waiting for Endwalker. So ideas and videos coming. You know, I'm actually still doing pretty good on the idea front. Plus, people keep giving me more ideas, so there's other things that I could potentially do as well. So anyway, with that, let's get into the Q&A. Thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting the channel. They don't get anything special, nothing at all. They're here and they enjoy this, and that's why they do it. They don't have to. You don't have to. I make all my content's free. It's available everywhere. You don't need to be on there. Being here, watching this video, that's where you need to be. All right, that's where you need to be. Thank you to our pages of Darkness, Kuja Cross on Genova, and Kernai Oni, who have gone above and beyond with their support over on Patreon. And thank you to everyone for tuning in to this Q&A. Now with that, let's see what the questions look like, and hopefully I've got some good answers. All right, question number 1, hashtag Mrhappy Monday. Hey, Haps, hope you're doing well. Just a quick question regarding the triple triad cards. Thank you, and I wish you well as well. For the cards that drop in Dungeon Trials, does the duty have to be synced? No, you can do it unsynced. My Thornton took 49 attempts unsynced in order to get that card. What I don't recall is if syncing them increases the odds at all. But you can do them all unsynced. I made sure to do all of those before I focused on getting the cards from NPCs. So, yeah, that's just run some unsynced stuff and you should be good. Hashtag Mrhappy Mondays. How's it going? Hope all is well. Same to you. Not a hello, but a very, very friendly greeting. So you get that. I tried to ask a couple weeks ago and I missed it. If I'm sorry. I was curious if State of the Realm was going to do a show about 5.55's MSQ. Yes, so there will be a show about 5.55's MSQ, as well as the finale of the Bojin content, of the Save the Queen content. However, Ethis has been getting situated with a few things, and thus hasn't been available for a show. There's no rush on him, of course. We have so many months until Endwalker, so once he's available, we will be able to do a show, a spoiler cast on 5.55. Hashtag Mrhappy Monday. Howdy, Haps. Hello, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Long-time listener and viewer, and I finally decided to ask something. Welcome. My FC is hoping to get a house once more, once new houses are added in 6.0. So the next houses are added in 6.1, just so you know. I've heard that it's easier to purchase a large plot if you are transferring from another plot of any size. I'm curious if this is the case. So there is some truth to that. So when you go to purchase a house, so let me rephrase. It's easier to get a house. And again, I'm just speaking from someone who doesn't own a house. Let me see if I can best summarize this. When a house is abandoned, a person wishing to buy the house from nothing must wait a random amount of time, which I think is like anywhere from like 12 to like 36 hours or something like that. And they just need to sit there, and at some point it opens up and you just have to be the first person to click it. However, if you are transferring from one plot to another, you can completely bypass that restriction and immediately place it down. So in that regard, it's easier. Now, I don't know if it's easier when houses are fresh. So if you're not specifically trying to get a house in Ishgard, people giving up their larges in the other wards and moving to a large in Ishgard, you might be able to go and snipe those by moving up from a smaller size. However, if you're looking to just buy the plot from scratch, I think you're better off just waiting for 6.1, plotting where your options are, where your most wanted ones are, finding a middle-ish ward, not doing like wards 1 or wards 30, and just like trying to find like maybe a 12 or an 18, and just speed running the route to that house, and then have some backups on hand just in case. If that fails you, grab a small and keep an eye out for a large at some point that you can transfer to. But there aren't as many larges, so that can sometimes be a bit difficult. So that those are what your experiences are looking like they could be. But as someone who's never actually bought a house in 14, you might want to consult somebody who has a bit more experience dealing with the suffering that is our housing system. All right, hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Short question for me is, I wonder what your favorite song in 14 is. If you have one, always like asking that to people. So this used to be a much easier answer when we had less songs in the game. If you had asked me years ago, it would have been Garuda. I think Garuda is still, no matter what, like a hands down big favorite. I'm a huge fan of the riff. I'm a huge fan of the simplicity of it, and yet the impact that it has. But is that still my favorite? That's tough. And then are we including remixes from like Pulse or Scions and Sinners, the Primals in general, Piano, the lo-fi albums that they have? Oh, yeah, it's tough. I will say that Shadowbringers has given me a great many like top songs. Like, I'm a huge fan of Return to Oblivion. I'm a huge fan of the Eden's Promise theme. I love the remix of the Ultima theme that's used for the weapons. I also generally like the remix that they use for Diamond Weapon in particular. And Insatiable, it's played to death, but I do absolutely love the base version of Insatiable more than the Primal version in actuality. So, but I think, you know, after all these years, I think Garuda held on to that top spot for so long, and I think it's worth at least saying Garuda would be my longest first place song. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good morning, Sir Haps. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Good morning to you as well. It'll be morning when you see this. It is not morning when I'm recording this. It's like 6 p.m. right now. Has SC specifically stated whether data center travel will be possible between regions? So, to clarify, the way that data center travel works, and the way that our data centers work in Final Fantasy XIV, it's actually no different connecting to another data center in your region than it is connecting to a data center in another region. They're basically a bunch of separate physical entities that have no sort of programmed connection, meaning the North American servers might be in the same location, but all the data centers are designed in such a way that the only benefit to being connected to one of those is your ping, your individual connection to said data center. So in other words, yes, it doesn't matter really whether or not they tell us, because technologically speaking, it is the only logical way to do it because of the way data centers are done in Final Fantasy XIV. It's not broken up into several different mega data centers, I suppose is the best way to put it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Haps. Hope you're feeling okay after the vax. Bro, my vax shots were like 2 months ago. Did you just copy paste this from like a few months ago? I mean, to be fair, it's maybe I wasn't, maybe it was, you thought I had like a long-term reaction. No, I'm fine. Do you feel the effects in some fights are too bright to the point it hurts? No, I think Holy is too bright to the point it hurts. Once you get used to looking at Holy, nothing even remotely compares, as far as I'm concerned. No, I don't feel that about any mechanic. But I'm also colorblind, so I don't see things the same as everyone else, so could just be me. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Happy. How are you? I'm doing swell. Hello to you. You all right? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. Quick question. What is the best time to desynthesize belts and extract their materia? When you don't need the belts anymore. I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah, you're right. I gotta round up all my belts that aren't gonna be needed anymore and destroy them. So thanks for the reminder. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi. Hey. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. Had a quick question. Is there any way to get above captain in your Grand Company? So if I'm recalling, captain is when you are maxed out on your squadrons. That's the maximum rank you can obtain strictly from squadron upgrades. And the answer to that is no. Captain is the highest rank. There is no way to go any higher. And they said they won't raise the rank until there's sufficient content that they can design around the raised rank. Thus, I'm not going to lie, we probably won't ever see another rank. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Howdy, sir. Hello. You know how they have surface slap when you're fishing? Yeah, I don't use that a whole lot. Well, A, I don't fish outside of ocean fishing. And B, I don't ocean fish anymore, so fuck it. So you can activate it to not catch the same fish. Yeah, need to have something like that for duty roulette. So they actually have limited roulette, but I like the idea of a roulette slap, as you called it. Limited leveling roulette allows you to As long as you have a pre-made of 4, you can restrict the leveling roulette to dungeons within, I think, 9 levels. So, like, if you were level 70, you could get a level 61 to 70 dungeon. Or in the case of a leveling roulette, a 61 to 69 giggity dungeon. That's the closest thing we have to a roulette slap, I suppose. And I just realized that was the only question. So thank you for the good joke, but hopefully I provided a fun-ish answer. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. Hi. How you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. First time asker, but I feel like I'm about to do something bad after seeing your response to the crossover. Listen, I'm sure you're not doing something bad, but don't be surprised if I give you some stern looks. What did you not like about the Nier crossover? Personally, not a fan of the aesthetic and feel of the Nier franchise, so I wasn't too hyped. Didn't hate, definitely my least favorite. No, actually, that's a very reasonable question, I think. So I, first of all, am not a huge Platinum Games fan, specifically when it comes to Nier Automata. I find all their combat kind of samey, and I actually have looked at Babylon's Fall and Astral Chain most recently. And those actually feel like they're starting to maybe pick up some things, and they're starting to move in a direction where I may not necessarily feel that way about their gameplay. So, thus I don't like Nier Automata, just from a gameplay perspective. I've made sure to keep up on all the story and lore, and I did actually play Drakengard's way back in the day. The Drakengard's, I should say, way back in the day. So I'm somewhat caught up and familiar with the world and the lore and the craziness that is Yoko Taro's brain. I strictly didn't like this from a Final Fantasy XIV perspective. I felt like it was a complete waste of all the world building we normally get out of 24-mans. And on top of that, I don't feel like it delivered very well from a Nier perspective as well. I understood the majority of the references and the subtle undertones, but it all felt just kind of half-assed. It wasn't enough of a medium with which to give enough craziness that Nier and Drakengard and the Draken Nier universe kind of needs in order to go nuts. I would have preferred them to have really tied in Final Fantasy's lore to Nier and make that confusing mess, as opposed to what they kind of tried to do where they just put it in 14's world. Super unsatisfying. I'm not going to lie also. Some of the worst 24-man boss fights I've ever experienced. And not because they were annoying or difficult. They were just bad. They were boring, unsatisfying, and just kind of lame. They really didn't make good use of Nier mechanics either, because all they had was bullet hells, and they had to be at a reasonable speed because of Final Fantasy XIV's combat system. So, and then the glam, fucking 80% of the sets are black coats. Like, I don't care. It's all lame. It's lame to me. So, those are the major reasons. And then it ended terribly also, so. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Yellow. How you doing? How you doing? You doing all right? I'm doing all right. So how of Shadowbringers? So out of Shadowbringers, what was your favorite piece of side content? It's easily the Save the Queen series. Save the Queen series did a good job of following up on certain things that were established in the Evil East raids. Unfortunately, ending kind of on a poor note. There were some decent scenes towards the end, but it felt like a rather underwhelming finale, especially after you read those field notes, and we know that Matsuno has departed from the team that was working on this for Square Enix. He does have his own company to run, so I'm not really surprised by that. But it just felt like that led to... It kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy XII, where it's like you have two characters that barely feel like they belong, and they kind of get the shaft end of everything. And it kind of feels that way with kind of the end of this. But it was still my favorite series from a content perspective. A lot of the lore is really good. The music is top-notch. Not that that's a surprise to anybody. But that's definitely going to be my favorite. It's where I've spent the most time this entire expansion. I have every resistance weapon as of the making of this video. I've made over 100 million gil off of the rewards that drop there. It has been fantastic for me, and I'll probably, even after finishing all the resistance weapons, pop back in there and make a little bit more money. Hello, Mr. Happy. No hashtag, but you know what? You said hello, so you got my attention. Hope you're doing well. Same to you. My group is going to attempt DR Savage, but I have a few questions. Sure. Is the gear from Bojin any help, or is it better to use 530 Tome Savage? So first of all, no gear that isn't Bojin gear is any different. There's no syncing of specific gear pieces. All gear has a flat amount of stats that syncs to 430. Doesn't matter if your gear is lower than 430 or higher than 430. It syncs to 430 and completely disregards whatever the gear itself actually has on it, except for haste. So, for the best possible output, yes, any of the haste gear is indeed worth it. The earring, at the very least, is something you should have for it. Are the honor buffs working in DR Savage? Yes, and they are very, very useful. Planning to run it for 24 mana instead of 48. Any extra challenge we may face? I'd say probably just the very first pull, the slimes and the golems. The golem side's a joke no matter what. The slime side might get a little bit messy while people are learning it, but in terms of the actual, can I beat enrages? Can I survive this? Can we even beat that? There's nothing that you can't do, and arguably 24 people should be easier outside of the potential coordination that goes into the slime and golem phase. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Mr. Happy. I hope you have been well. By the way, the hashtag was on the screen, but the hello is off the screen, so I read it in the opposite order. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? Flight. I'm actually afraid of heights, but if I could fly, I wouldn't be, because there wouldn't be anything to fear anymore. I don't know. It's carbon. It's carbon safe for the planet. I don't have to worry about traffic. Maybe, you know, a fly or a plane, you know, but, you know, that's on me. So I'll fly low. I'll fly like medium height. You know, what's the worst that could happen at that point, right? So, yeah, that's flight. Definitely flight. All right, hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello, Haps. Hello. Hope you're doing all right. Same to you. Long time viewer, first time asker, so I have a bonus of a free meal from your favorite restaurant. Give me some steak. I know you aren't a fan of 14 and other game collabs much, but Monster Hunter was a less invasive exception. I agree. I just finished my Rathalos farm and got curious if there were another Monster Hunter collab. Which monster would you like to see as a new trial? That's tough. I'm a big fan of a lot of no Kezu. That's it. Just no Kezu. It could be anything else. Just not. I don't even care if it's Kuliaku. No Kezu. No Kezu, please. I don't want to deal with that. You know, there's a few really big ones. Anjanath or Devilio are two that are pretty high on my list. But I'm thinking something that I think would be terribly received, and actually would be terrible, but I'd be interested to see them do it. The Kol Taroth Siege from World. Because, I mean, it'd essentially be like a mini Steps of Faith, and that alone makes me not want it. But I feel like maybe it could be better. Oh man, who else? There's actually a lot of really good choices. Nergigante is a good one. Man, it's really tough actually to just pick one. It's weird that I think Anjanath would be a good choice. I don't know why. I just feel like it would be. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's like hyper aggressive. Chameleos, I think actually could be quite interesting. Yeah, the thing is, I think most of them would be... I actually think that the crossover makes more sense in terms of, like... Because in Final Fantasy XIV, you have these giant creatures, but they sit there doing these, like, basic auto attacks and casting with these AoE markers down. Monster Hunter, it takes those kind of same prospects and kind of amplifies them to be more like a rabid, gives them more personality, I suppose. Whereas Monster Hunter in 14 takes these monsters and gives them structure without overly restricting them. It essentially just changes the way their combat system works. You know, in the Rathalos fight, you have this like semi-random rotation that he goes through that you have to adapt to. And that's something that people like in 14 because it's not as rigid, but there's still rules that are set. So I feel like both of them actually complement each other fairly well. And so, yeah, any of those ones I named. As for the other way around, I liked Yoshi P saying Nidhogg, but I was thinking... I mean, that's the problem. I don't want it to be another fucking dragon. It's always, everything's dragons. I don't want any more dragons, all right? So what else could it even be? I'd actually be interested to see what a Coral, like a very large, like Coral Regina, for example, would actually be like. But I'd assume that would be like Kieran, but a cat. So, I don't know. Maybe. Also, I guess Monster Hunter would need something 14. Yeah, so I guess, yeah, I'll say that Coral Regina. Weird choice, but I'll take it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good day to you, Haps. Good day to you as well. Thanks a lot for all the content you make. Thank you for the kind words. Want to get your thoughts on the future of Bozjo. We know the team is focused on Endwalker, so I don't expect new zones, but I think Platinum coins are a bit lackluster. Are you expecting any further updates to rewards or such? No, I think they're done. That's it. Maybe like another nerf to maybe the memory step, for example, the 20-20-20 memory step in particular. I can't really think of anything else. I don't think they're going to change anything reward-wise. I don't think they'll add anything or restructure it. I could be wrong. That's just where I think they're going to end up. So, no, I don't suspect any more reward-based change. Although, honestly, Savage needs reward changes. Savage is really underwhelming. And I think Memoria needs, Extreme needs a reward update. These things are just not super satisfying to go back and do. Maybe something to both of those. Nothing major, though, for Platinum coins in particular. Oh, man. So, there's not really that many questions left. It's mostly comments about last week talking about the event, which I kept calling it inclusive or I kept using the wrong term last week. Nobody called me on it in the comment section. Somebody told me about it on Twitter though, and yeah, I always mix up those two. But I think everyone seemed to have gotten the point from what I said last week. And yeah, there's like a troll question here. Since you clearly have above average intelligence. No. Flattering, but no. Yeah, and then there's like a really long one about what I think will happen in 7.0. I'm trying not to even think about that. Americity is what I want out of that. I'm otherwise not thinking much about it. I did, however, just redo Void Arc series, and it was better than I remember. It goes a little too quickly, but I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. We're going to be doing retrospectives of old content and how it, I guess how it is today. I'm going to cover some of that in my how many hours is the free trial video that I'm working on, which is part of the Heavensward restart. And then I'm also going to be covering individual aspects, like covering the Alexander story and how it's aged and how it's told and, you know, how they improved it later. So we're going to actually be looking at a lot of stuff involving that. So I will be addressing any sort of thoughts I have about ways it could tie into the future during that video. But right now my head isn't like processed it enough. Like I haven't actually sat down and like written everything out. So I don't want to go too much into it right now. There were some other questions that people answered in reply, so I went over them. One about whether we'll ever have a text box for our character, so we know exactly what we're saying in cutscenes, whereas that... And somebody responded with exactly what I would have said, that voiceless gives you more headcanon options, like how you would actually approach it. It allows you to impress on your character a little bit more. And then another one about explaining certain WoW mechanics. Somebody replied to that very well in the replies. So if you're expecting an answer, person who asked me about Mythic and Mythic Plus, please read the reply in last week's, because it answers it perfectly in as few words as possible. Somebody's saying if they notice that this is a green screen. So this is a green screen that I've green screened to a blue screen. If that's not confusing at all, trust me. It's so I can do whatever I want with it, really. But when I don't want to do anything in particular, that's what's behind me, pretty much. If I lean back, sometimes I like hit the screen and you can see it turn green. Didn't happen right there, though. What else? Yeah, and then, I don't know. I don't think there was very many other things at that point. There might have been, like, one other thing that I went over. Why didn't you like the crossover? More stuff about the collaboration event, the Surface Slap question, Captain. Best time for the belts thing, the vac shots. Oh, there was one, what do you think of a 14 Chrono Trigger main content crossover? What do you mean? The MSQ has already done a Chrono Trigger crossover. Look, go look at the reveal. We have Zeal and definitely Lavos. Definitely. I'm trolling. But I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that little do they know that Lavos is the true villain ever since we first heard, oh, there was this like humming or something coming from the center of the planet and it made us all go crazy. I was like, so that's Lavos. That's who the dreamer is. Lavos. I don't want to be right about that. I really don't want to be. I mean, I wouldn't be... Conceptually, if something like that were to happen that isn't Lavos, it'd be okay. But I don't want to be right about that in particular. Is there anything else here? Oh, yeah. Somebody asked about the second Shadowbringers album. Literally the day... I recorded this last Sunday, and then I posted it on Monday, and on Monday, that album went on sale. I was like, well, that's timing for you. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, no, that's it. It's most of the comments are just comments on last week's or replies to last week's things. There's not much in the way of questions left. So that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. If you have a question for next week's episode, please put it in the comment section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And by the way, I really feel like I should start including my stream times in my video. If there's anything I've learned from this Twitch event that's been going on, it's that a lot of people don't even know I stream. Because I don't talk about it. You know, this is YouTube and that's Twitch, and I kind of keep them separate, sort of, but not really, in case you haven't noticed. So, I don't know, maybe I start bringing that up at, like, the end of videos, maybe even towards the beginning of the videos. I don't know. I'm still working. I stream 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's what you need to know. But anyway, thank you for watching this week's episode of the Q&A. I'll see you for next week, and until then, take care.